Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I have a sublimation project to share. I am going to make this really fun sequined pillowcase. I've made this on a small scale, the sequin pouch, which I think was a lot of fun to do, and I'm really excited to make this pillowcase cover. Lots of fun. So I've got that as my blank, some protective paper, some heat tape, heat gloves, the iron-on ink acrylic sublimation paint. That's going to be a key ingredient to this project, a paintbrush, and a pencil. So I've really gotten into just free form drawing, and I am by no means an artist, but I had a lot of fun with the garden flag, which I painted using Q-tips. And I thought what would be really fun with this pillowcase is I am going to probably draw maybe the simplest thing one could draw, and that's going to be an emoji face. So the first thing I'm going to do is, now with the sequin pillowcase, similar to the pouch, the zippered pouch that I did earlier, it is polyester white on one side, and then this particular pillowcase is black on the opposite side. So what that means is that when you brush the sequins in one direction, it flips to one side, black, and then brush it again in the opposite direction and it flips to the white side. Now the white side, because it is polyester, means that it can receive sublimation paint. So what I've done is, now this is rather large pillowcase, but I don't really have paper as big as this pillowcase is. So my paper I cut to 11 by 11. And what I did was I took a plate, the largest size plate that I have. I think, well, maybe I have something larger, but this was the largest one I could find at the time. And I traced around it to get a circle. And then I am going to start painting. Now I did sketch in with pencil, and it's important that you use pencil when you are creating your design, because pencil will not transfer when you sublimate this. Whereas if you use something else like an ink pen, a Sharpie, or something like that, you might run the risk of having that actually transfer to your blank. It might not be the look that you're going for. So pencil is always the safest bet, and I am going to paint around where the I know where the eyes will be. Even though it's going to be black, I don't want to have a layer of yellow paint under the black. I think that's going to actually alter the color of the black, and so I'd rather have whatever color I want that to hit direct to paper, as opposed to, even though black is darker than yellow, and you could, it might look like the black is completely blocking out the yellow, but when heat gets applied to this in the process of sublimation, this paint is going to transform from its solid state, as it is now, to a gaseous state. And then it's just going to float and make its way to whatever it's touching. So right now it's on the paper, but when we get this taped down onto our pillowcase and have enough pressure exerted, more on that later, then that paint, when it becomes a gas, it's just going to float and transfer onto our pillowcase. And then when it cools, it becomes a permanent part of the pillowcase. That's why sublimation is so cool, because you're effectively making a permanent change to the materials, and so the design is going to be much, much longer lasting. It's not like you have just added an extra layer of something on top of the material that is your blank. So it's really, really cool. But if I have a suspicion, I haven't tested this to really make sure, because I just don't have a lot of blanks that I can just do tests with. So I might need to go on Amazon and maybe get some blanks that are small and easy to just do little test swatches. But my suspicion is that even if you have a lighter color underneath a darker color, when it becomes a gas, it's all going to kind of mix together and commingle. And then when it lands onto your blank, you might actually see some of that color from underneath come through. So the reason what makes me speculate this is just a hypothesis. I do need to test it. But the reason why I think this is the case is because when I did that garden flag project, I painted on the green stems of the flowers, and then I painted the flowers over it to where I really could barely see the green of the stems. And that was what I was going for. That was the look I was going for. But then after the final reveal, after I sublimated it, I could very clearly see the green stems, like in full. It was as if it wasn't blocked by any of the flowers that were painted over it. So I don't know if that's a factor of green just being a really strong color. Maybe that was stronger than the blues and the purples that were on top of it. I'm not 100% sure. And that's why maybe this warrants some explanation or experimentation, or maybe just some research on YouTube. I'm sure somebody else has figured out the answer to this. But that all is to say that I'm being very careful where I've left white in places that I know, even though I'm painting with black, I still want to leave that white so that it's really, as much as possible, 100% black. And that's as easy as it is. I just painted my little emoji face, which I think is really adorable. And I am going to make sure to flip all of my sequins so that they're all showing on the polyester side, because for sublimation to work, it does have to get transferred onto polyester material. Part of that is because of the nature of polyester. When it gets heated to a certain temperature, it does open up to receiving the sublimation paint. And I'm gonna wipe this clean so that there aren't any, there's no dust, there's no pet fur or anything. And then I want to tape this down pretty well on all four sides. You don't want this to shift on you, and it's a pretty large piece. So I just about covered every other inch, I guess, of each of the four sides. And this isn't where you want to be conservative with tape. With sublimation, I always feel like the more you can make sure that your design is making good contact with your blank, the more likely you're going to have a really successful transfer. So here's the big reveal. Now be careful, because some of this tape could be a little bit extra grabby with the sequins, and you don't want you don't want to accidentally kind of tear off sequins. And so I was trying to be really, really careful, but I love how it turned out. I was kind of disappointed though, because I'll show you in a moment once I get this off, but I got a little bit of ghosting, and I was really sad to see that because it was really cute otherwise. And also I also didn't remember to mirror my emoji face, because I think the tongue is usually pointed in the direction that I painted it, but you have to remember when you're doing sublimation, you need to mirror your image. I just don't always think about it when I'm not working with text. And this isn't the end of the world, but it's I think it's meant to go the other way. But look how cute this is. Now, if you look on the right hand side of the mouth, on the lower side, see there's that extra line? That's ghosting. And so I did this again. So this pillowcase, it goes from black to white. And I was sent another one that goes from silver to white. And so I like the look of the black to white better because it feels more dramatic. So that's why I went with that one first. And you can kind of already see the smiley here. This doesn't seem to hide it as well. It might be just the angle of the camera. But I sent a photo of my first one to my design team manager, Ashley, and I asked her, what did I do wrong? And she said, well, with these sequins, the challenge with them is that it's so dimensional. There's all these like little gaps in between each sequin, and so you really have to go with heavy pressure. So, and I'm always very careful not to do too much pressure, but she said that go with a heavier pressure and see if that helps, because that's going to really push the design firmly against all of those sequins. Now these sequins aren't like super cupped, but they are a little bit just lifted. Because they're pretty flat, but just the nature of how they're sewn onto the fabric, they are a little bit lifted. So that did the trick. It really helped a lot. So that's one thing to remember with these is heavy pressure. I hope you enjoyed my project today. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.